Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Leadership by Design 2025. I've chosen to live stream on YouTube on this channel because I know some of you were not able to make the live call. So here's what we do. I'm going to take you through, run you through the big shift, the huge shift that I've read up on, studied, and what we had talked about in my circles. And these are huge shifts that is coming our way. And you want to really pay attention to these shifts. If you pay attention to these shifts and you take the right actions, you will have an unfair advantage. I will also walk you through the 9 steps of the fearless leadership roadmap that I see that you must master. And it's not only what I see, but also what we talk about in other circles. So it's worth paying attention to what I'm sharing. What we will do is that we will open for Q&A. I'm going live on my mobile as well. Check. So if you have any questions, and then make sure that you join the live training in January, because there will be a closed Q&A room. The training that I hosted yesterday was really deep, was so transformational. And if you followed me for a while, you know that I am up for transformation. I'm not up for information, right? So that's why we want to have this room and these conversations to help you grow. Let me just see. Reactions. All right. We're here, right? That's the most important thing. It's interesting with this. Can you see me? I don't know why it's not here. Anyway, if you're here, it's good. I cannot see me live, but it doesn't really matter. But we are here. All right. What is going on in our world right now, and what do we want to pay attention to? You probably noticed that prices have increased. Inflation is continually rising, and it's something that impacts our industry, the pharma biotech industry. There's a lot of right sizing. There's been a lot of right sizing in our industry over the last, let's say, couple of years, right? But we're going to see even more right sizing, focus on what's really important for the different companies. And I was in a conversation with someone the other day, and they said that people talk about there's a lot of jobs out there, but there's a lot of jobs in the public sector. But that's not where at least most of my audience, my clients are. We are in the private sector, which is why we want to pay attention to and really be on it when it comes to what are the big shifts, what are the huge shifts that's coming our way, and how must we prepare for these shifts so that we can stay in business, so that we can continue to elevate, so that we can continue to create more impact, because that is one of the shifts that you really want to pay attention to. And I wrote it in my newsletter this morning. It's about you have to retire your ego. You really have to retire your ego. But I'm getting into that in the roadmap. But let me share. The leadership playbook for 2024 won't get us to what lies ahead in 2025 and beyond. And it goes like, I don't know, it goes without saying. I was about to say that, but it's not really what I say. But here's a principle you want to understand. What got you here won't take you there. So if you have a big dream, if you're really honest with yourself, right? You want to have a better life, a better lifestyle. You want more financial freedom. Where you are right now, if you continue doing that, you will never get what you want. So you want to remember what got you here won't take you there. So that's why this call and the upcoming calls in a VIP room or VIP day is so important. If you want to take your life to the next level, if you're comfortable with where you are, not really ready to grow, then that's fine. This is not for everyone, and I don't say you have to, but it is a choice. And if you want to elevate and you want to have more financial freedom, to give your partner, your children more opportunities, then you must pay attention and be focused on elevating who you are. So, and here's what's really interesting. I read up on, among others, what Gallup have found out and what they are indicated, and it's really echoed in other reports as well. The six most common leadership challenges, and for me, it's just a continued challenge. But I want to give you these 6, and then you can score from 1 to 5. How are you actually navigating what I'm sharing with you right now? It's about providing information. As a leader, your team is looking to you to provide information and motivation to complete the work. How good are you at setting other people up for success? If you're truly honest, how good are you? You see, most leaders, most people come from a perspective of, I am here to deliver, tick the box, very transactional oriented, right? But there's also the trap that a lot of leaders take on way too much on their plate. Say yes way too often, but really you're about to say no. There's another dimension I want to add on to this about providing information. A lot of leaders, they are telling what they want rather than actually coaching and guiding and giving their team members space to complete. Most leaders, because they come from ego, and I understand that in this sentence or this perspective, ego is not a bad thing, because we have ego, or you and me, we all have egos. But it's about understanding when you come from ego, you're so attached to the result, and oftentimes you're a high performer and perfectionist. But if you want to take your career to the next level, you want to be attached to the conversation, which means that you have to retire your ego. So how good are you at really setting other people up for success? That is required in 2025. It was one of the big challenges that, among others, Gallup highlighted in a big survey. And it comes really nicely with how good are we at developing people. Most companies, maybe yours included, focus on the academic skills. But what they're missing out on is that, and you cannot put lipstick on a pig if the pig is not well, right? Then what do you get? You cannot put cream on the cake if the cake is not ready or it's not baked. If we want to develop people, academic skills won't make it. You have to learn, but it comes from you. Learn to develop the muscle of your mind. What do you mean by that? You have to understand and go through that journey yourself about limiting beliefs, where you're getting in your own way, about feeling less than, not taking the room as a peer. You want to have done this deep inner work yourself, because otherwise, how can you develop people? How can you ask the right questions if you do not understand these tools? An amazing executive reached out to me earlier today and asked, what would you recommend me to focus on? And my answer was, focus on developing the muscle of your mind. Really learn so much about yourself so you can go out and help other people. That's what the challenge has been this year. And I would say for many leaders over the last couple of years, but it's going to be this not being able to develop people is going to be an even bigger gap. and we'll put like the 1% or 2% versus the 99 or the 98% of people. Like who will make it and who won't make it, like make or break. You want to learn how to really develop people. And I actually want to do this. And we have this in my home because it's nice. Challenge number 3 that I have seen for years, and it's nice that Gallup highlights it right in this report, is that of leading change. I've been leading change for years, but to truly lead it is not just about talking about it and releasing it. It's about implementing, setting people up for success. And that's where most people stop. That's where most companies stop, because it's about benefit realization. When I was a consultant, an advisor, I was so on the benefit realization, because otherwise you will not harvest your investment. But most companies say, stop. I don't want to spend time on benefit realization. And we have a big opportunity to actually be so curious about the benefits of the projects. And that's about leading change. It's not just releasing a project. Everyone can release a project. Everyone can release a new digital solution, but carrying it through, making sure that it's really adopted and the new behaviors is embodied, that requires a very different mindset. And those who lead the change want to understand, need to understand, what does embodiment really mean? And when we embody a new value, how do we then show up? What has shifted? There's so much going into this. So be curious about how you really lead change and how you embody a new information. And there will be so much more in the VRP day. And you probably listen, I'm going to drop actually a link to the 4 levels of learning. A lot of leaders are on the know how to do it, right? That they're conscious about their competence. But there's a gap between being conscious about what they do to unconscious incompetence. That's mastery. So you want to really master implementing and leading change and get it so that it's transformational. Most projects are not transformational, right? You probably can not, right? It's not, because we don't focus on the true outcome, the true why. It's not about how to do it. That won't get us there. It's not only to do what to do, but it's about why we do it and how to do it. That's the why. And most people forget about the why. That do not even spend time on the why. So really focus on that and ask yourself, how good are you at leading change? Not just releasing it, but actually make sure that it's all embedded and embodied. And then there is this very interesting thing that various reports and circles talk about, that is about dealing with imposter syndrome. How worthy do you really feel when you are in a meeting with a C-suite person? If you're a C-suite person with another C-suite person that is a loud individual, how do you feel? Do you take the room, and do you take the room because you react, or do you actually, and you know it right away? Do you show up with integrity and just ask a question and you hold the space and say, hey, I see you struggle right now. I see you're frustrated. Most people haven't cultivated that skill, like cultivate the fearless leadership, that faculty, right? But that's the imposter syndrome that a lot of leaders and a lot of people struggle with. You want to pay attention to that. You want to be really, really honest. I'm okay. I'm good enough. You know, deep down, where you struggle, where you stand in your own way. But imposter syndrome, I don't really like that title, because I think it's just about to the level of awakening. How honest are you really about yourself? And then get some help so that you can take your own life to the next level. For me, that's about living full out. And then the number 6 in terms of the on the six on the list of most common leadership challenges, that is about managing a team. And it's not a surprise, because most people are not set up, and that's the very first one said, providing inspiration and developing others. Most leaders, people are not set up to manage a team, because when we lead other people, but most people manage other people. There's a very big difference. So you want to be so honest about yourself. Why do you not manage? And where do you fall short? We love, right? And what do you need? It's not a new tool. All change comes from within. All change comes from within. So be so curious about that. What are you telling yourself that no longer serves where you want to go, right? What do you tell about yourself? What are the stories you tell about your team members? What are those stories? Because if you tell yourself short, you will sell yourself short, and you will not be able to convince and persuade the other people that they should follow you. And I've been advising and guiding leaders for most of my career. And not to say that I've been the best, because I develop myself, my faculty of my mind. But I do see that a lot of leaders struggle with perfectionism, and they see them equal results. But it's not the way great leaders see themselves. It's about asking the right questions. I was, I don't know if that, I just pull this a bit to my, I was listening to a training by Naveen Jain, and I dropped his name a few times because he's really an entrepreneur who inspires me a lot, and I've done that for years. In this training, Naveen Jain taught us how to really ask bold questions, something I've been on for years, ask bold questions. And actually, he was more interested in asking questions, not about, for example, he gave an example, is that we want to improve the school system. All right, there's some challenges, but he had a very different approach, and he has the Moon Express. He wants to, with NASA, he's developing a express train to the moon. That's Moon Express. And he said, moonshot thinkers, they do not think about results. They think about the questions. And I was driving on the highway, and I was really clapping. I was like, woo, because that's where most people go wrong. They focus on the results, but the great leaders focus on asking the right questions. But there's still more to learn, because in terms of the school system, it's not about finding the bugs or challenges in the school system. He said, like, okay, but let's flip that question. Why is it that we want children to go to school? And we said, when you ask that question, Camilla, people would probably say, come on, you know that. But if we dare to be that bold and honest, we find that the answer of response to that question is children go to school to learn and to make a living. All right. But then what about designing the school system so that we set kids up for success? That's also why we have the Singularity University. They do it in a very different way. And I know, I don't know if he's still there, but Naveen Jain has taken his kids to the Singularity University to learn to think in a very different way. That's also why Mind Valley, they do their yearly summer schools, and they have 3-week programs for kids to go into the entrepreneurial school, entrepreneurial university for kids, to learn to think differently. We do not learn to think as we really should in school. But the good thing is then we can pull in a lot of tools now if we want to, and then we can elevate. But that of managing a team is all about also how do you think and get so detached from the result. That is not why you're a leader. All right. The reason why I share with you these 6 common leadership challenges is that these challenges are not new, not at all. But what you want to be so honest about yourself is, where are you on each of these challenges from a scale, for example, from 1 to 10, where 1, you're struggling, and 10, you're just like a superstar. You're not an expert, because expert has all the answers. You do not want to be an expert, but you're a mastery. How do you get to mastery? Do you want to get to mastery? If you don't want to get to mastery, where it's lifelong learning, and the more you learn, the less you know, right? Then why are you then a leader? So you want to really ask those deep questions and be so honest, and start creating your roadmap for 2025 so that you can make it. Because emotional intelligence is going to be one of those capabilities and skills that are being sought after in leaders, right? So pay attention to that. And other reports, and I think even in my community and in the communities that I'm in, other reports highlight what's going to happen in 2020, 2030. But actually, I see those movements already now. But it's about building inclusive teams that drive innovation. Driving innovation can only come from how you think. If you do not develop the muscle of your mind, if you do not learn how to think, you will never be able to meet that requirement of driving innovation. Most leaders do not really know how to think because they're so attached to the result, and they do not be attached to the conversation. They are focused on how to do it, but not maybe a little on what to do. But very few leaders are why that we do this, why and how to do it, why and why to do it, right? So if you want to continue your career, you want to develop the muscle of your mind, you want to develop how you think, and also understand and borrow the belief that there's multiple versions of yourself. When I started my personal development journey 7 years ago, I had no idea what spirituality was. Like I was saying, have I invested so much money just to ask about my spirituality? Most of my personal development has been one-on-one, because I want full attention on me, and that cost, but I've been willing to pay that price because that's just who I am. And some people say I'm not ready, or I do not have the money. It's a choice not to invest in yourself. We only always can find money if you're curious about that. So be my invitation, be so curious to invest in yourself. Maybe you do not want to invest in one-on-one, but go and do yourself that favor to invest in yourself, because nothing changes unless you changes. I had to learn it the hard way. So what do you want to do with that? I don't know where I want to go, but maybe it's also about developing the innovative muscle. It really comes by you have to know who you are right now, how you think, why you stand in your own way. That's the only way you can create the future. Otherwise, you replicate the past. You have to understand this. If you do not develop your mind, you continue to replicate the past, but that's not required from 2025 and beyond. So you want to build a deeper relationship with yourself. And even though you're a scientist, right, or you are a supply chain expert, you have to come into this room with a beginner mindset. If you come into any room where you believe that you know it all, then you already sold yourself short. So come in with a beginner's mindset. And then also another requirement and huge shift that is coming our way is that to connect the dots between tech and team performance. Because one thing is to introduce AI, but how do we actually adopt, for example, that tool and so many other tools, because they reshape team dynamics, they affect project timelines, how we communicate, and they blur out work-life boundaries. And there's boundaries was something we talked about in Project Olympus yesterday. So how do you deal with actually connecting the dots, and what dots do you not see right now? As some of the report says, it may not be immediately obvious that there are some blind spots when you roll out the dots because you're thinking short term. But what are the big impacts? And if you do not have people on your team, right, why are they resistant? I wish I had the knowledge I have today about resistance. We just said, and I just said, well, it's just because they don't want to do it. But take time to really connect with them, meet them where they are. Wish I knew that 10 years or 15 years ago. Meet them where people are, right? Maybe some people are fixed-minded, right? Are they then part of the organization or not? That is for you to choose. But meet them where they are, understand why they are resisting the change, and how a new tool is affecting their personal life, and what are their expectations, right? Set up agreements, set up healthy boundaries. Because at the end of the day, we really want to say people first. It's about really acknowledge that person, that individual. Say, what is best for you? How can we design a life where you can go and unleash your full potential, your professional potential when you work with us, and still enjoy life? For me, that's a very different way of setting healthy boundaries and employee well-being. But you see, it does require to step out of the rat race and really say, what is it that we want? But it has to come from you. Because if you haven't understood and embraced and start to embody, to create a whole life, that wholeness, right? Not coming from lack, but really appreciating what is, but you also want a life. I think most companies, corporations, we don't talk about also having a life. But when we talk about employee well-being, it's a whole lot. It's spirituality, the inner knowing. It's about love life, intimacy, intimate relationships. How many families actually break up because one spouse or the other work really late? It's about spare time activities, about like developing your faculties. It's about financial wellness. It's about your mental wellness. It's about your physical wellness. That's the life. But most companies, and this is on me, but I think also in pharma, we really look at the bottom line. There's not so many companies that look at the whole lot. So if you're listening to this and you're in HR, start to really form that new ship. You're going to create a very different company, and you will pull people to you because more people want a whole life. And when they feel that, you're going to shift and you're going to have better employees. It's part of the future for 2025 and beyond, employee well-being. What's also coming as a huge shift is that spot problems before they arise and become crisis. And that's about, and I drew it yesterday, it's about not coming from, you got an assignment and then you go straight to the results. It's actually about slowing down, being attached to the conversations, connecting with the stakeholders, right? Because when you have each and every conversation and you ask the bold questions, then that initial result and desire in the product is very different. Oftentimes it's bigger and it's very different, right? You still end up maybe in this spot, but still it's bigger, maybe have different color, a different shape. So spot the problems before they become crisis. It's about really being attached and listen. And we talked about yesterday about the 3 levels of listening, that being there, listen what's not being said, right? That's it. 3 levels of listening is you talk, and then you say Paris, and I talk about, yeah, I've been to Paris, well, that's level 1. Level 2, it's all about, I'm present in the conversation, but you can feel that I'm not truly present, right? I allow myself, my mind to wander. I was thinking about what to cook for dinner tonight. I could be thinking about, the discussion I had with my partner this morning, or the kids that not behaved, or the next meeting, or the previous meeting that was really uncomfortable. then you're not present, and people can feel it, even though you do not believe that they can feel it, but I think they can feel it, right? But they can. It's all about energy. You are energy, and when your mind wanders, people can feel it. So how can you spot problems when you're not truly present? We're talking about the roadmap. And level 3 of listening, deep listening, is really about being present. And that is required if you want to spot problems, or required to spot problems and showcase that you can spot problems before they occur or arise, right? Catch them early on the signals. When those signals, it's about listening to your inner knowing and your vibration. I have an amazing book here called Trust Your Vibes. Maybe you've seen that. Trust the Vibes. I'm going to do some readings next next year, when I haven't planned it yet, but I'm going to do some public readings on this, and also in our circus communities, because intuitive leadership is so important, and very few leaders actually have built connection with their intuition, and you can only connect with your intuition when you slow down. So important if you want to be considered as one of those few who actually spot problems before they become crisis. And with this, it's also about, and this is really interesting because I see it as a challenge already now, and been for years, but that of navigating complex stakeholder relationships. That's going back to you really wanting to build your fearless muscle, right? It's about slowing down. It's about being present. It's about listening to what is being said, and spot opportunities for growth, and align business growth with meaningful impact. So there's a lot of navigating complex relationships, also external relationships, right? And society relationships, depending on the role that you have. But it's really about making sure that your stakeholder map represents the whole world of your world. And so you go out and connect with those people. Most people say, it's really interesting, is that they lack stakeholder mapping, and they come up with a lot of excuses why they don't do it. I mean, you have 90 days in office. If you say that the first 2 months is just onboarding, you actually miss out on a lot. So don't buy yourself excuses. It's not good enough. You want to start to really build out your map, stakeholder map. It's most important. Who you know, that's a book called Connected. I'm going to read it. Who you know is so important. And when you're a new kid on the block, you want to open the rooms. You want to open the doors where you want to be. But if you don't open the rooms, you're not invited into the conversation. So make sure that you open the rooms. And then that comes to the last bullet point here, before I want to give you the roadmap, is that build executive presence. Like, how do you show up and how do you take the room so you influence senior leadership, whatever senior leadership is for you? That's also about personal brand. Who are you right now? You can only answer that question. But if you come from a perspective of, let me put it into, as an expert, how can you really influence without a title? You do not need a title to influence. How you influence in 2025 and beyond is about being you. It's about learning the servant leadership. It's about being in a job, or holding that job because you want to set other people up for success. You get to retire. Your ego has nothing to do with you. Go away, leave the transactional workspace. And just want to have here. Probably seen this. Here's transactional. And here's transformational. Most people are here. That is how you get to learn to retire that, right? Then we are the unifier. That's the team members. Not team member, but the manager. That's how and when. That's good. Most people focus on how and when. That's a project plan. That's here we talk about the communication, right? That's on a communicator. That is the corporate why. But they are missing out on a lot because it's nice big billboards and they all talk about patients first, but they miss, first of all, what about our people first? And when companies talk about people first, they do miss out because it's about the inner world first. It's about the inner world first. It's not about the surface level and the skills. So people first companies, you get to really offer coaching programs, and you leader is not a coach. You will never open the door. That requires a very different room. So there's a big opportunity here for those of you in HR to really start to advocate for, if you want to truly transformation and really want to solve one of the biggest problems that the pharma or the medtech industry has, then it's about how do we get there, right? Because we need to think differently. We want to act differently. We want to really become that master in whatever we want to be. Who are we right now? The culture is always is only as strong as the people who carry that culture. If they do not know who they are, it's a reflection. That culture reflects that, right? You are an average of the 5 people you see the most. So if you are surrounded with people who haven't developed their own mind, if you're surrounded with people with limiting beliefs, if they're surrounded with people who borrow other people's limiting beliefs, if you're surrounded with people who think less than, or who create rumors in one way or the other, if you are in a C-suite team that is not dynamic, that's a culture that you carry. So you want to be so honest about, you can add on the 4 levels of learning, the conscious competence. Yeah, we know a lot and we do it and we're proud of that. But the true step to transformation and mastery, that's a gap. But that's what we're doing. That's what you do in my different communities and the VIP day. How do we actually bridge this gap, right? How do we go from conscious competence to mastery? And is that the inner game first? The inner game first. Who are you and who do you need to become, right? In order to really create so massive success so that you're attached to serving and not attached to the result. So I hope this was helpful. Let me see if we can see if that what questions we have. I have to learn from David how we do this. Let me see if we can see if that okay, we're here. Amazing. Okay. So let's go to the roadmap that I want to give you and gift you with, and then make sure that you join the Q&A for our next round, right? That we host in January. So the roadmap for 2025, remember your leadership roadmap that you have this year, if you haven't upgraded it with any new tools, then you really want to start applying what I share with you here right now. And there's a lot of people who go out and think, well, I need a new academic skill. But remember, that is just information. So if I want to I want to be truly honest, you don't need a new skill right now. What you need is to upgrade your mind. Upgrade your mind. Because information is just information. You haven't any new skills in that new area, whatever. It's just an add-on, right? Yes, you may want to practice that, but it won't get you to another new job. It won't get you to a new job or the next dream job because you haven't any experience in that, right? It's unconscious consciousness, then it's conscious incompetence, and then it's competence, conscious competence. But it takes years to get to conscious competence. And you put in the reps and you put in the reps. So make sure that you invest in your own mind right now, because you are standing in your own way for more success, but also you have a wealth of wisdom. So make sure that you actually start to understand the wisdom and start to understand and own what you're really good at. People want to know what you're really good at and how you can support them. So the roadmap, and that's where leading into number one, come with a servant mindset. The mindset, be a servant. Be there to serve others. You don't want to take a new job. You want here to serve. You want to help the other people. You want to help other people set them up for success. What are the biggest problems? What are the biggest pains? And all your wisdom, how can you help them transform, right? That's what you want to focus on. That requires you retire your ego. It requires that you know your own why, requires you have your own assets and your own systems, but also requires that you know the big why of those you serve and the company and what they want and what they really need. Want and need are two different things. So be so curious about coming from a servant mindset. It will set you up for success. Then it's about emotional intelligence. Who are you who has that massive success? Because nothing changes on you unless you changes. And what you want to know is that if you had everything if your life is so amazing, you have everything you would dream of right now, who would you be? Who is that version of you who has all your dreams met and more? Who would you be? Who are you then? Right? But you're not there. So who is it that you need to become, evolve into? That is, and the emotional intelligence about really being present, learn to build a relationship with yourself so you can help others when in need. That's so important. So build your emotional intelligence. Because you have to learn how to think differently, be detached from the result and so attached to the conversation. And it's about your reaction patterns, about your default patterns. And only can you elevate your and build your emotional intelligence when you have built a better relationship with yourself, when you really know how you show up. We talked about it the other day in Practical Olympus. And it's all about manifesting. If you know a bit of the work from Neville Goddard, you would know is that it's about the imagination, and you would know that you would Elizabeth is laughing downstairs. Like emotional intelligence, if you do not keep your word to yourself, how can you ever advocate for more change, right? Keep the word to yourself. Why are you not keeping your word to yourself? That's who you are right now. But that next version of you who have so much success, what are the new behaviors? How do you show up? What does he do or he do? What doesn't he do? What doesn't he do? So becoming that new version of you is so important to understand and to start mapping out. And we will do that in the VIP day. Then personal brand. It's something that has been on the drums, been drumming this year, but next year and beyond is going to be even more important. You want to build your own personal brand, your leadership brand. Who are you right now? How does your brand, your values, how do they support you? And who is that next version of you? Who's your brand? Even though even in tough rooms or difficult conversation, who are you? Right? Are you just standing that tall and smile and say, oh, okay, it's difficult. You don't want to say, okay, we can do it. Is that your leadership brand? No, you don't want to do that, right? I don't think you want to do that. So you want to be so honest about your leadership brand. And the next version of you, the next layer of your leadership brand, and the way to build it is to go on podcasting. It's about releasing your assets. It's about releasing your systems. When you go to pitch, whatever that is, your next client or executive assignment, what systems do you have that can help your client fast track to where they want to be? You would want to develop your systems. It's not that difficult. I'm going to help you in the VIP day. But systems is really everything that you know people want, what you are really, really good at. And then you have a system, you have a framework. For example, my framework is a four-step process. It is that of influence. The first step is influence. You can only influence to your own level of conscious awareness. So build your conscious awareness, influence. Then how you can innovate is how you take the room, how you engage in the conversation. That's where you get to really innovate, when you're detached to the result and so attached to asking those bold questions and showing up fearlessly. And then it's about inspire other people to embrace the full potential. That is a 3-step framework I have. And then we are on the strategy, because strategy is leg number 4. But you have to really understand who you are before you can innovate and before you can influence. So what about you? When you're in supply chain, in HR, what are your system? We want to build it out. I'm going to help you build it out when we are in our VIP day. But having your own brand is becoming so important. They call it the podcasting in some of my circles. You want to go on different stages, and you can even now feel, I'm not going to do that. But it's a must if you want to take your leadership to the next level. And if I can do it, you can too. Yes, it does require that you do it with fear. That's a courage. Great leaders do it, have courage to do it with fear, but do it anyway. It's going to be messy. You have to be imperfect. I was also imperfect. I'm still imperfect, but I do it anyway because I want to serve. I'm here to help you grow. And sometimes, yes, it's a new channel. It's a new way of showing up. It's a new platform. It's a new stage. Now, how do we do that, right? But the more times you do it, the more reps you put in, the better you become. So part of your personal brand, roadmaps or roadmap building block, or pillar number 4, it's about results versus strategic impact. I talked about it a lot just in this session today. Be so aware of where your focus is so that you can create strategic impact and focus on connecting the dots. So important. And so also, how do you spot real problems? Most leaders, they focus on the how to do it and go and resolve things. And they are very much in the operational phase, but that's the wrong way to do it. You want to slow down, you want to reflect, because then you tap into your creative zone, and then suddenly you see something, oh, we should do this instead. But you have to slow down, get out of that rat race of back-to-back meetings. If you're operational right now, you get to not want to do that. You want to slow down and be so focused on having creating strategic impact. You can only do that when you set yourself up for success and have time for yourself to reflect. And if you're the only one, be the first one to do that, right? It's so important also for your company. Make sure that you have time for yourself. And then it's also about 10x mindset versus a 10x mindset versus a 10x mindset versus a 2x mindset. Linear growth, most people go for linear growth, but not really fulfilling, right? 10x mindset requires you to think very differently, get out of your comfort zone. Like if your word is breakthrough next year, what do you have to do so differently? You have to do everything differently, and you have to retire your old new so that you can go into your new you. So what is that? My word is fearlessness. But how would a woman show up that's fearless each and every day? Right? I have to do it. I have to. It's a choice, and I want to do it because I want to grow. I want to contribute to this world, and I'm pouring in my heart to you is what I know works, and that will give you freedom, not only financial freedom, but also freedom in your mind, in your body, your health, relationships, and you will take your life to the very next level. So strategic impact, and so also spotting the problems. You get to be so curious about the 10x mindset. And then the next pillar in the roadmap, as I see, is about fostering emotional and culture intelligence. I talked about it, I touched upon it before. The culture is only as strong as the people who carry that culture. If you are one of the thought leaders in your company and you want to be, then you want to understand what is the culture right now and how do we take it to a very different level. A lot of people talk about safety, but that's just an empty word. If people are not allowed it or cannot be seen as who they are, if you are a manager and not a leader. So be curious about cultivating your emotional and culture intelligence. And you get to work from within. You get to work from within, and you get to ask these questions like, how's the culture doing right now for us? I just see it. I observe when we do this. It's against our value of people first. Why is it that we continue to do this when it's not supporting the company that we want to have or the one we want to grow? Be so curious about that. And then the present moment of awareness. Present moment of awareness is about building the faculty of your mind. It's building the muscle of your mind. What are your deep-rooted beliefs? What are your limiting beliefs? When do you just adopt and borrow other people's limiting beliefs, right? And things of doing without you questioning. You want to be so conscious aware of everything that you do. And oftentimes people are in the comfort zone. We just do it. We haven't even thought about why we do it. We just do it. But that's not from 2025 and beyond. You want to develop the muscle of your mind. You want to be so aware of everything that you do so that you can help others grow. That's about developing others. Help other people grow. That's a whole human being. The wholeness is not just one of the faculties, which is the academic faculty, right? Building block number 8, it's about, again, under the overarching umbrella of leadership, it's about introducing different tech platforms, but you want to understand why people fear change. And it's not just the focus of introducing a system, and I've done this most of my career, but it's really wrong. So if you have a team of consultants just to develop, then you want to make sure that there's so much focus on the benefit realization and you carry that through, because otherwise you're wasting a lot of money and you're draining your team members and your C-suite team. So don't do that. Really slow down and say, what do we want out of this? And oftentimes it starts with really having a proper PMO board, have a proper strategy, and know what you really want. Don't start with the how, but start with what to do, and then start with why we do it, then what to do it, and then how to do it. Most companies struggle with that. They actually start with how to do it. They have the idea, we want to do this. How do we do that? Spend time with what and why we want to do it. Really own that, because then people can understand, and then you find out how to do it. It's a very different how companies are doing it right now, isn't it? Yeah. And then it's about building block number 9. It's about inspiring others to grow and see their potential, and see best in others. And how many times haven't I helped leaders who actually judge the team members? That's the lowest level of energy. That is not leadership. That's not leadership, to judge other people. And definitely you're coming from a place of ego, because then you want to be more. You want to win. You get to learn where you're standing in your own way. And I say this a lot, but you really get to learn, right? The questions are not about what they do wrong. It's about, why are you defending yourself? It's about, why is that you want to be right, right? It's about that. But so that you can retire that part that doesn't work for you anymore, doesn't serve where you want to go next. So be so inspired to connect with your ego, learn about yourself, grow your own, grow the relationship with yourself, so that you can inspire others to grow. That is people first. That is people first, not just the academic part of it, right? See the best in people, see where they are perfectionist, understand, be curious about why they're perfectionist. What is that? Because they don't do it just because they think it's fun. It's because they've been trained in that way. Maybe they have grown up in an environment where it's results. And now it backfires because they are always late, because they're insecure. But you really want to hold the space for them, so that you can help them grow, so you can help them release and retire what's no longer serve them, right? As you set yourself up for success, help your team members set them up for success. So if you, and I hope that we by now have a beginner's mindset, take these 9 steps into your roadmap for 2025 and beyond. I guarantee that you will be at a very different set point, even 6 months from now. And then when we meet again, 12 months into the new year, this is December 2025, you will be at a very different place. You will be a very different version of yourself, because you have developed a certain mindset. You have developed yourself. You're no longer yourself. You have retired your own self, right? You have embodied a new way of being, new behaviors, new beliefs. And then you know what brand is. You don't need a title to influence, right? And you know about holding the space for people. You know about observing what's going on, because it doesn't serve where we want to go next. You understand about the why and how to do it. Now you understand the why and what to do it. And then how to do it is last, right? Does that make sense? So you will come from a place of why we do it, what to do, and then as the last thing, how to do it. Don't start with the how. You start with the how today, but you don't want to start with the how tomorrow, right? So that's your old retired the how. Focus on the why and the what. So with this, I hope this was helpful. I've really enjoyed, and thank you for also sending me some private messages. I really appreciate that. I hope to see you in the in the next one in January, right? And make sure that you join our VIP room if you want to. Let me just share right way here. Want to join our VIP day. Messages are coming in. That's amazing. Join our next live workshop here with private Q&A. Okay. So I love you. Hang on. Q was A and A. Okay. So I love you so much. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments below your most important takeaway. And what is, for example, what is your brand next year? How do you want to think differently? Why are you standing in your own way? I would love to hear from you. And